Okay. We're ready? We're ready. Okay. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the program. Good to see you. We got a lot of breaking news today. The pressure just went off the charts. Trump issued a hardline ultimatum. Let me turn this music down a little bit. That's what I need. Just turn that little background. So there's a new ultimatum from Trump to Iran. It's on hold. We're going to look at that. Drawing new red lines in this war while fresh reports claim Netanyahu's alive and back in the room as clashes still explode across the Middle East. Welcome, everybody. Hit that like button. Come on in. Come on in. So we're looking at a potential turning point. Moves that could either force a showdown or trigger a much bigger disaster or solve the whole problem entirely. Greetings. Welcome. What's up, Artex? Welcome, mods. Welcome, everybody. Hit that like button for me. Help me get in that algorithm. So this is live, unfiltered coverage. We're going to break down exactly what Trump is demanding, what Netanyahu's I'm alive moment means for Israel's war decisions, and how the Iran front is bleeding into Gaza, Lebanon, and a wider region. So your comments, your questions, and your eyes on the details really are a part of this broadcast. So before we dive in, hit that like button so this gets pushed out. Subscribe with the notifications on. You don't want to miss any of the alerts. And let me know where you're viewing from in the chat. We're going to get this going. We're going to start with a bit of a gaggle. This is a presidential gaggle. Now, this one is from 6 hours ago, as you can see. This is from the White House channel. It's a pretty interesting channel. So let's have a listen as the president arrives.
Morning, Mr. President.
Gaggle.
Can we move over? Let's get out of the sun.
Turn back.
Let's get out of the sun.
That's better. Isn't that more comfortable?
Mr. President, Iran's foreign ministry says you're not telling the truth when it comes to productive conversations to end the
Well,
war.
they're going to have to get themselves better public relations people. We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement. Perhaps that hasn't been conveyed. The communication, as you know, has been blown to pieces. They're unable to talk to each other. But we've had very strong talks. Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner had them. They went, I would say, perfectly. I would say that if they carry through with that, it'll end that problem, that conflict. And I think it'll end it very, very substantially. We have very much in mind our partners in the Middle East. We've had great relationships with a lot of them, as you know. A lot of them were surprisingly hit, and I was surprised to see it, and so was everyone else. But we have, they're very much in mind in the discussions. So the discussions took place yesterday. They went into yesterday evening. They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal too. We're going to get together today. By probably phone, because it's very hard to find a country. It's very hard for them to get out, I guess. But we'll at some point very, very soon meet. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
We just keep bombing our little hearts out. I think what he's doing is just going with some other people. And the current regime just might have no idea about some of these talks, because I think they're on a special list that Mr. Netanyahu, whether it was AI Netanyahu or real Netanyahu, actually discussed the other day, walking in with Mike Huckabee.
A top person. Don't forget, we've wiped out the leadership phase 1, phase 2, and largely phase 3. But we're dealing with a man who I believe is the most respected and the leader. It's a little tough. They've wiped out everybody.
Is that the Supreme Leader?
No, not the Supreme Leader. We don't. Well, nobody heard of the second Supreme Leader, the son. Nobody. We have not heard from the son. Every once in a while, you see a statement made, but we haven't. We don't know if he's living. But the people that see.
Wait a minute. What? They haven't heard from the son? That's pretty telling. You know, a lot of people are saying that he was injured, that he was in a coma, that he is no longer with us. Put a 1 in the chat if you think the new Supreme Leader is dead as disco. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he's alive. Help me out here and hit that like button. Put a 1 in the chat if you think he's dead. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he's alive. I think they got him. I think they got him.
Seem to be running it, and they seem that based on really fact, because things they've said have taken place.
Mr. President,
I can't.
Mr. President, I know you deployed.
Because I don't want him to be killed. Okay, I don't want him to be killed.
Mr. President,
Nobody wants to be that. Nobody wants that job right now. You know, nobody's exactly looking forward to being the head of that particular country. But perhaps we'll be able to solve that problem.
Mr. President, you deployed ICE agents to American
Who are you with?
Newsman, sir. You've deployed ICE.
You're not doing a very good job.
You deployed ICE agents.
You're not doing a good job. Did you hear me? Okay, go
what
ahead.
exactly do you want from
You
these
believe in I'm
talks?
taking CNN over Newsmax?
What exactly are you looking for in these talks, Mr. President?
We're looking for all of the things that we've been talking about. We want to see no nuclear bomb, no nuclear weapon, not even close to it. Low key on the missiles. We want to see peace in the Middle East. We want the nuclear dust. We're going to want that, and I think we're going to get that. We've agreed to that. Yeah, we've agreed to that.
Do you want the enriched uranium before we can end this?
And we want no enrichment, but we also want the enriched uranium. If this happens, it's a great start for Iran to build itself back, and it's everything that we want. And it's also great for Israel, and it's great for the other Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, all of them, Kuwait and Bahrain in particular. So it's great for all of them.
If the war is ending, do you still need $200 billion?
It's always nice to have. It's always nice to have. It's a very inflamed world, and the Democrats inflame it. You know, largely the Democrats inflame it. And let me just talk about the others. So ICE has done very well. I've requested. Now, you know, I'm a big believer that they should be able to wear masks when they go and hunt down, you know, murderers, criminals, and others. But for purposes of the airport, I've requested that they take off the mask. I don't like it for the airport, and I believe they are willing to do that.
Why do they wear masks not at the airport, but they need to do it when they're out in the
Because the people coming into the airport, typically speaking, aren't murderers, killers, drug dealers, etc. There may be a few of them, but there aren't many. They're people that want to come into the country, or that people want to leave the country, go into maybe their home country. So I didn't think it was an appropriate look for an airport. I think it's a very appropriate look when they're out on the street trying to find one of the 11,888 murderers that Sleepy Joe Biden let into our country.
Last year you gave a $10,000 bonus. Sorry. Last year you gave a $10,000 bonus to Tuesday workers who kept showing up to work during the shutdown. Will you do that again?
Well, it could happen. It's amazing. There's people that are really, really loyal and great, and it's not easy for them. And this is all caused by the Democrats. Just so you know, all this money was approved. Everything was approved. This is done. The Democrats went in, and they want to have radical left lunatics come into our country. They want to have drug dealers. They want to have murderers come into our country. They want to have open borders, and we're not letting it happen. That's what this is all about. They don't want voter ID. They don't want proof of citizenship. They don't want mail-in ballots. They're so corrupt. What they want, the only thing they want is mail-in ballots. So we also added, as you know, into the Save America Act. And it's called Save America. It's not the Save Act. But we added no transgender mutilization of our children and no men in women's sports.
Mutilization? Did he say mutilization? Okay.
If he talks so well, and
I don't think he's going to be a newsman.
If he talks so well and he reaches ceasefire with Iran, do you believe Israel would abide by that agreement?
I think Israel will be very happy with what we have. We just spoke to Israel a little while ago. I think they'll be very happy. This will be peace for Israel, long-term peace, guaranteed peace. If this happens, and, I can't guarantee it, but I think it's going to. My life is a deal. That's all I do is deals, my whole life. I think this is something that's going to happen. And why wouldn't it happen? So tomorrow morning sometime, their time, we were expected to blow up their largest electric generating plants that cost over $10 billion to build. It's a very good one. There was no dearth of money. And one shot, it's gone. It collapses. Why would they want that? So they called. I didn't call. They called. They want to make a deal. And we are very willing to make a deal. It's got to be a good deal. And it's got to be no more wars, no more nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons anymore. They're agreeing to that. Any of that stuff, there's no deal.
You said you're going to get the enriched uranium. How are you going to get the enriched
Well,
uranium? Are you going to send
it's very easy. If we have a deal with them, we're going down and we'll take it ourselves.
Can I ask you, the Treasury lifted sanctions on Iranian oil that was out this week. You criticized President Obama for giving Iran $1.7 billion.
Well, I just want to have as much oil in the system as possible.
But Iran is
And we don't even know if Iran gets that money. Frankly, I think it's very hard for them to get it. But you have ships that are out there that are loaded up with oil. Rather than keep it there, I would rather see it go to the system. Any small amount of money that Iran gets is not going to have any difference in this war. But I want to have the system be lubricated.
even $14 billion
Where's the $14 billion?
with the inflated price. They get $14 billion from the.
I don't think they're getting the money. I could tell you, when this is all over, I will tell you who's getting the money.
Why are you sending the Marines from California, given that it'll take them weeks to arrive? Is the intention to police the trade or take part?
What are you doing?
Well, it's been reported that there are Marines that left California, left San Diego last week. Why are they headed there now?
Well, let me ask you this. If you were in my position, and I asked you that question, do you really believe I'd give you that? It's a crazy question. We don't talk about strategy. Yeah? Yeah, let in by Biden. It's devastating. These people were let in by Biden. We're getting them out. We're getting them out fast. That's why ICE is so important. They're doing such a good job. This animal, I saw the whole thing last night. They gave me a briefing. Came in through Joe Biden with his open door policy, and his border czar, Kamala, who never saw the border, never made one phone call. All the ICE people, you see, they all know me. Everyone knows me. They like me. I speak to them all the time. Didn't make one phone call during 4 years. She was the border czar to anybody on the border. Never went there. This person came in through the open door policy of Joe Biden, and we have others. We're taking them out by the tens of thousands.
Hey guys, help me out with that like button so this video can get out to new viewers just like you. All right, so hit that like button.
Doing a great job, but it's a shame. They've hurt our country. Just remember this: Joe Biden and that gang of radical left lunatics, some very smart but radical left and bad ideology, sick people. These people have hurt our country very badly.
Are we directly talking with Iran?
If you end up hitting those Iranian power plants, how is that different from what Russia could do in Ukraine by hitting Ukrainian power?
Well, I think it's a lot different. And if you look at the nuclear weapons that they wanted to have, that they wanted to possess, a lot of things are different. I'm not a fan of what Russia's doing either, just so you understand. Russia. But it's a lot different. You're talking about a country that has been evil for 47 years. They've been horrible. Death all over the world.
I like to do this one. Put a 1 in the chat if you support Trump. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not support Trump. I want to show you guys that all kinds of people are in here and everybody's welcome, all right? Put a 1 in the chat if you support Trump. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not. Show yourselves.
Not just us. Look at the way they attacked unexpectedly all of those countries. surrounding it. It was not supposed to be. Nobody was even thinking about it. But they wanted to take over the Middle East, and they wanted to knock out Israel permanently. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have been able to.
Are we President talking to Iran?
Look, I'm not a fan of the guy. If you look at, and you never cover this, if you look at his troops or whatever he went on, ex-troops, if you look at his troops or his statements, he was all for everything. All of a sudden, he wasn't. He was a man that I met at Dover. He came and his wife was killed. He remarried fairly quickly.
You got everybody
His wife
here.
was killed, and I felt badly for him. He ran for Congress, he lost. He ran for Congress again and he lost. I said, you know, he's a guy, nice guy, seemed like a very nice guy. I met him, he was pretty heartbroken, but I said, you know, it's a shame. He ran for Congress twice. Call him up, give him a job in the White House. Smart. He gave him a job in the White House, and this is what he does to me, you know? Being a nice guy doesn't pay off too much. Think of it. He loses twice in Congress. Ran not very good campaigns. Should have won. But he loses twice. How do I get him? I have my people call him, because I didn't deal with him for the most part. I saw him a couple of times, but I never dealt with him at all. I had no idea his ideology was left or right, whatever it is. I can say this. He said very strongly that Iran is not a threat. Iran's been a threat for 47 years, and there's not a country in the world that doesn't agree with me in that. So I take this guy, Joe Kent, who lost twice for Congress, pretty badly and tough, and it was devastated, and I know that he lost his wife. So instead of letting him live out his life, I brilliantly have my people call him and offer him a job in security, essentially, in the White House. Now, what does he do? He goes out and he says that Iran is not a threat to get publicity. Now, he probably signed up with CNN or maybe signed up with your division of Newsmax. I don't know, but probably signed up with CNN or somebody. But if you look at his tweets, X's or truths, whatever he uses, I don't know because I don't follow him. What he said, 100% he agrees with it. All of a sudden he leaves. I never knew he had a problem. Now, I hear they're looking at him for leaking. That's possible. But just so you understand, just to put it to rest, he lost twice badly. He also lost his wife. He's remarried since. He lost his wife. I felt badly for him. So I told my people, reach out to him, give him a job at the White House. This is the thanks I get. Any other questions?
Overall crime and record, sir.
Iran was not an imminent threat. That's what
Damn.
the intelligence said.
I think it was an imminent threat. I think that Iran, if we didn't bomb them with the B-2 bombers, now that set them back. But if we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to a month. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it as soon as they got it.
If you obliterated their nuclear sites last summer with your strikes, then how can you argue it's an imminent threat now?
Oh, we hit them so hard, we obliterated them. But that doesn't mean with the right equipment, you can't dig down and go get it. We don't want that. We won't have that. But we obliterated that site. They still haven't been able to get it. That was a complete success. But if it wasn't, they would have had, if we didn't hit them, if we didn't use the B-2 bombers, which are unbelievable, we just ordered 22 more of them, modern version, by the way, super modern version. If we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers, they would have had, within 2 weeks of that attack, that's why we hit them, because we knew they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it on Israel and the entire Middle East.
Overall crime in Memphis is down 43% since you began this task force. Is this a template you think is
Well,
working?
what I'm doing today, really, this was supposed to be, this was a little bit before, set up a couple of weeks ago. This was before we had this situation with Iran take place last night. And by the way, they're just not communicating. When they say, I'm sure they don't mean that. When somebody says, oh, I didn't know we were talking last night, and I'm sure they have a lack of communication, which is appropriate considering we blew up, in addition to their Navy, Air Force, every division, their radar. We also blew up all of their anti-aircraft and communications. So they have no telecommunications. So there is a lack of, I would imagine, a lack of coordination.
If you're worried about the miscommunication.
Well, we think all we can do is think, look, we have numerous leader groups. They've all been killed. Very dangerous position. Khomeini was killed. Khomeini's son is unavailable. Nobody knows what happened to him. I can say they haven't seen him there either. Something is going on with him, but regardless, I don't consider him really the leader. But they do have some leaders left, because we blew up group number 1, group number 2, a lot of group number 3. But we think we have people that are very representative of the country and will do a good job in running.
Elon Musk is offered to pay TSA workers during this DHS shutdown. Is this something that you've been speaking to him about?
Yeah, I'd love it. I think it's great. Let him do that. And I want to thank ICE because they stepped in so strongly. They'll do great. And if that's not enough, I'll bring in the National Guard. We're not going to have the Democrats destroy our country. These people are the most destructive, sick people, the Democrats. They want, and they're fighting for this. They're fighting for men and women's sports. They're fighting for transgender for everybody. Everybody go out, get your kid a nice operation, and change the sex of your kid. They're fighting for, think of it. They don't want you to do voter ID. You walk into a booth. In California, if a person who's doing voting, an official, asks you for identification, they're subject to being arrested. What's wrong with this country? So we're fighting it hard. And I think they should, because the Democrats are being blamed for the shutdown, and it's their fault, and they're getting killed. That's why when I announced yesterday about ICE, the Democrats called. We want to settle. We want to settle. And I told the people, don't settle. Don't settle. Because we have something bigger. Only settle if you get the Save America Act, voter ID, and so important, proof of citizenship, etc. Thank you very much. We're dealing really...
Whose idea was it?
Mine. That was mine.
And can I ask you,
That was like the paperclip. You know the story of the paperclip? 182 years ago, a man discovered the paperclip. It was so simple. And everybody that looked at it say, why didn't I think of that? ICE was my idea. First person I called was Tom Homan. I said, what do you think? He said, I think it's great. Then I saw today there was some masks on. I didn't think the masks were appropriate. I put out a statement and I asked them, would it be possible to take off the mask? Because they should wear a mask when they're dealing with the murderers and the thugs left and let it to them.
So you said there's many points of agreement with Iran right now.
Many.
What, can you give us a
Many, like 15 points. 15
that
points.
Iran has said yes to?
Well, they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. That's number 1. That's number 1, 2, and 3. They will never have a nuclear
They
weapon.
said yes to that?
They've agreed to that.
Will we see arrests, illegal migrant arrests at airports, sir?
Arrests.
Will we see ICE arresting illegal
Put that
migrants?
like button for me, guys. Thank you so
That's
much.
why the Democrats
Welcome.
are going crazy. Because they've allowed, by what they did, and hold up, we put ICE, who are a very high
President
level.
Trump gaggling the press outside of Air Force One here.
I mean, they really are a high-level group of people. And they love it because they're able to now arrest illegals as they come into the country. That's very fertile territory. But that's not why they're there. They're really there to help.
Sir, are you clear have they agreed to no enrichment whatsoever, even for medical purposes?
Marco.
They have. Thank you.
And what about the Strait of Hormuz? Who's going to be in control of
That'll
that?
be opened very soon if this works.
How soon? And who's in control of it? Will
I mean,
Iran still be able to control the flow of oil?
Be jointly controlled.
By who?
Maybe me.
You want the United States to be in
Me
control?
and the Ayatollah, whoever the Ayatollah is, whoever the next Ayatollah. Look, and there'll also be a form of a very serious form of a regime change. Now, in all fairness, everybody's been killed from the regime. They're really starting off. There's automatically a regime change. But we're dealing with some people that I find to be very reasonable, very solid.
Marco.
The people within know who they are. They're very respected. And maybe one of them will be exactly what we're looking for. Look at Venezuela, how well that's working out. We are doing so well in Venezuela with oil and with the relationship between the president-elect and us. And maybe we find somebody like that.
Are you considering more options to lower the price of oil while the stock?
The price of oil will drop like a rock as soon as the deal is done. I guess it already is today. No, we have a very serious chance of making a deal. That doesn't guarantee anything. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm not going to come out here in a week or 2 weeks and have you all say, oh, you said, I didn't say anything. All I'm saying is we are in the throes of a real possibility of making a deal. And I think if I were a betting man, I'd bet for it. But again, I'm not guaranteeing anything. They want to make a deal very badly.
What changes would you like to see in DHS under Mark Wayne Mueller?
Well, he's going to be fantastic. He'll make his own change. He's already given me a list of people he wants to bring. He's a fantastic guy. I think he's just the right guy. You all know him. He's a very open, smart guy, very successful actually in business, which people don't know, and he's a friend of mine. I think Mark Wayne is going to be fantastic. Thank you.
Are the indirect costs?
Terrible. They made a mistake. It's a dangerous business. That's terrible.
It's a dangerous business. We're going to go over to one of the other commanders here, and we're going to go to CENTCOM, and we're going to hear from the update from, I believe, one of the generals. Let's listen.
Cooper, commander of U.S. Central Command, here for my fourth update on
Admiral.
Operation Epic Fury. On day 22 of combat operations, U.S. forces continue to take bold action and remain on plan to eliminate Iran's ability to project meaningful power outside its borders. Just 2 days ago, the U.S. Army launched the longest field artillery strike in Army combat history using precision strike missiles. The strike took out Iranian military infrastructure, demonstrating the U.S. military's unmatched reach and lethality. Iran has lost significant combat capability over the last 3 weeks. We are taking out thousands of Iranian missiles, advanced attack drones, and all of Iran's navy, which they use to harass international shipping. Their navy is not sailing, their tactical fighters are not flying, and they've lost the ability to launch missiles and drones at the high rates seen at the beginning of the conflict. Our progress is obvious.
Hit the like button.
U.S. forces maintain air superiority over Iran's skies, having now flown over 8,000 combat flights. Our air crews are performing exceptionally across the fight, from tankers to fighters and bombers to land-based and carrier-based aviation doing a superb job. Tankers are extending our reach so that we can keep constant pressure on the enemy. Fighters and bombers are delivering precision strikes against our primary objectives, and our pilots across the board are dynamically hunting threats as well, finding and eliminating targets in real time. So far, we've struck over 8,000 military targets, including 130 Iranian vessels, constituting the largest elimination of a navy over a 3-week period since World War II. My operational assessment continues to be Iran's combat capability is on a steady decline as our offensive strikes ramp up. While U.S. forces continue to sustain overwhelming offensive firepower, I want to recognize our air defenders mounting a coordinated defense against Iran's attacks. We have built the most extensive air defense umbrella in the world over the Middle East right now. This is thanks to years of investment alongside our allies and partners to build a robust and integrated air and missile defense architecture. For more than a decade, books have been written about the concept of a Middle East air defense. Today, it's alive and well. Our Gulf partners, in particular, have defended against thousands of Iranian drone attacks, a clear demonstration of the strength of our partnerships as we work shoulder to shoulder. We also remain zeroed in on dismantling Iran's decades-old threat to the free flow of commerce throughout the Strait of Hormuz. For example, earlier this week, we dropped multiple 5,000-pound bombs on an underground facility located along Iran's coastline.
It's 5 hours.
The Iranian regime used the hardened underground facility to discreetly store anti-ship cruise missiles, mobile missile launchers, and other equipment that presented a dangerous risk to international shipping. We not only took out the facility, but also destroyed intelligence support sites and missile radar relays that were used to monitor ship movements. Iran's ability to threaten freedom of navigation in and around the Strait of Hormuz is degraded as a result, and we will not stop pursuing these targets. At the beginning of this campaign, I sent a letter to the more than 50,000 American servicemen and women supporting Operation Epic Fury. For our forces serving in the Middle East, I'd like to reiterate 3 key points. Number 1, be relentlessly lethal. We have the momentum. Number 2, be a great teammate. Continue to take care of one another. And number 3, steady your resolve. For we stand on the shoulders of giants, American heroes who have served with tenacity, grit, and honor. Fall back on your training. It is the best in the world. I just could not be prouder of our warfighters, and I know that the American people share in the same pride. Thanks so much. Godspeed.
So that was Admiral, what was his name again? Admiral Brad Cooper, commander of CENTCOM. Admiral Cooper. So we're going to go over, we have a Netanyahu sighting or whatever. So we're going to see that. You guys can tell me whether you think this is AI or not. I mean, people are saying that he's alive.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is warning that Iran threatens the entire world. He's urging global leaders to unite against what he calls a terrorist, fanatic regime. As the conflict intensifies across multiple fronts, here's more.
Benjamin Netanyahu made the remarks earlier today.
Okay, so there he is right there. All right.
During a visit to southern Israel, he toured the site of an Iranian missile strike in Arad, addressing growing concerns about Iran's expanding reach.
They fired an intercontinental ballistic missile on Diego Garcia. That's 4,000 kilometers. I've been warning all the time. They have now the capacity to reach deep into Europe. They already have fired on a European country, Cyprus. They are putting everyone in their sights.
His comments come as Iranian missile strikes continue to hit southern Israel. Drone footage show widespread damage after an overnight attack that injured dozens of people near Israel's nuclear site, including children. According to Israeli officials, it's the first time Iran has used long-range missiles in the conflict. It marks a notable escalation since joint U.S.-Israeli operations began late last month.
Overnight, President Trump said that if in 48
So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that's Bibi?
hours the Iranians don't open the Strait of Hormuz, that there will be strikes against the power grids in Iran? Will you participate in those strikes, and what do you think should happen next in this campaign?
I think President Trump knows exactly what he's doing, and whatever we do together, and as far as possible in confidence.
Missiles also struck Arad and Dimona yesterday, with Iran saying they targeted military and security installations in southern Israel. Netanyahu says Israel and the U.S. are pursuing 2 main objectives.
One is to break completely their nuclear program, break completely their missile program, break completely their capacity to produce the components for both of these programs. We're well on our way on achieving it. We've also set a goal of creating conditions for the Iranian people to overthrow this tyranny that has tormented them and made life miserable.
Meanwhile, the conflict is widening beyond Israel and Iran. Israeli helicopters were seen operating in northern Israel as Hezbollah launched rockets across the border. Israel has also carried out strikes in Lebanon, including targeting key infrastructure and border crossings.
Wow. Wow. So now we're going to go over to, there's a guy named Ismail Baghail, and he is the spokesperson for the Minister of Foreign Affairs over in Iran. All right. So we're going to have a listen. Isn't it funny how, the citizens of Iran don't have any internet yet? This guy has a live, crisp feed from Tehran. Interesting. All right. Hit that like button for me, guys. Let's get this one going.
The U.S. Defense Secretary has just said that they are winning this war and they'll keep winning. Are you now engaged in a military conflict you simply can't win?
We are defending ourselves. We are defending against this unprovoked, unwarranted act of aggression. So we have no other choice other than exercising our inherent right to self-defense. What they are doing is a criminal act of aggression, and I think it's very clear for everyone that they started this war in the middle of a negotiation process, in the middle of a diplomatic process on 28 February, and for the past 20 days, they have killed so many Iranians, they have attacked our civilian infrastructure, they have attack residential areas, and now they are claiming that they are winning.
Yeah, but you're not just defending yourselves, though, are you? You're also attacking Qatar, one of your neighbours. Why attack them?
Explain
if
that.
your quarrel is with the US?
We are not attacking any country. We are exercising our right to self-defense.
You're attacking you're attacking a gas facility in Qatar.
The reality is that the United States and Israel are abusing the soil, territories, and assets
You're not attacking
around us.
Okay, but you're not merely attacking US assets, you're also attacking a gas field in Qatar and other Gulf neighbours. I just wonder why.
I was explaining. Tell me, who has started this war in the first place? And who has started attacking our gas field, South Pars field? It was Israel and Americans that attacked our gas field, our energy infrastructure in the first place. What we are doing is fighting back in accordance with our right of self-defense. As I said, we are not attacking any country, we are defending ourselves. Those military bases, those assets, those installations that are being used by Americans to conduct their military aggressions against Iran are legitimate targets under international law.
But a gas field is not a military asset, is it?
I'm telling you, yes, the gas field is shared by, we have made it clear that if Iran's infrastructure is attacked, we would have to retaliate in self-defense against any infrastructure that is shared by the United States.
Wow.
That's part of the war game they have imposed on Iran.
Right, we'll come back to why the US says they launched this war in the first place. But I wonder what you say to your former allies in the Gulf who are calling for you to stop the strikes on civilian infrastructure, stop the strikes on ships going through the Strait of Hormuz. Will you listen to them? Oman, Qatar, these are countries that you've cooperated with in the recent past.
Sure. We do not feel any animosity or hostility toward the nations of the region. We common a lot with these countries. This is the result of American-Israeli aggression against Iran. Please do not forget that the military bases of the United States that are scattered around Iran are being used by the United and Israel to conduct their military aggression against Iran.
But you say, sorry, I must just pick up on
an imposed war.
I must just pick up on it, though. You say you've got no animosity to your Gulf neighbours. You're attacking Qatar's gas field. Abu Dhabi and Kuwait
are sending missiles into their neighbor's yard is what they're doing. And he's trying to explain this. Okay.
Under attack, too, just in the last few hours. That is not a defensive act, is it? That's Iran lashing out.
No, it is not. As I said, we are only targeting those assets, those installations that partly or wholly belongs to the United States. They are attacking.
Like and subscribe, guys. Help me out and hit that like button.
Our infrastructure. And Iranian armed forces are very careful to attack those military bases, those assets that are used by the United States in any form or manner to conduct their military aggression against Iran.
A gas field is not a military asset, but we'll move on because we have lots of other issues to discuss. Let's talk about your own self-interest.
Was Iranian field a military objective? No,
I'm just taking issue with your description of Qatar's a gas field as a military asset. But let's move on because we've got so much else to talk about. Let's talk about your own self-interest and how you're harming the Iranian economy with the paralysis of the Strait of Hormuz. Yes, it's damaging the global economy, but Iran's economy too. You depend on that. I wonder how soon you hope to get that strait opened again.
You see, again, please. We didn't start this war. We do not want to harm the security and stability of the region. As you said, the security of Iran is dependent on the security of the region and of the Strait of Hormuz. This is the result of American-Israeli aggression against Iran. What else should we do? Do you expect Iran to let the warring parties, the aggressors' ships and vessels to pass the Strait of Hormuz? Literally speaking, the Strait of Hormuz is not shut down. We have to exercise control over the shipping line because this strait is being abused by the United States and its allies to harm Iran's national interests. As you know, there have been many vessels passing through the Strait of Hormuz.
There's a trickle of vessels passing through. So how soon would you like to see it properly reopened, and has it been mined?
As I said, we have to take these measures in order to make sure that this strait is not abused by the United States and its aggression partners against Iran.
Do those measures include mining the strait?
I'm not going to talk about military tactics of the Iranian armed forces. It is Iran's right under this war situation to take every measure necessary in order to counter the aggressors and in order to prevent them from using this strait for conducting their military aggression against Iran.
The paralysis of the Strait of Hormuz has wrought havoc around the world in terms of the economy and the supply of oil. The UK is reportedly considering deploying autonomous mine-hunting drones to the region. The UK stayed out of the war so far, but if that were to happen in the Strait of Hormuz, would you consider UK assets legitimate targets?
Can you imagine that any country taking side actively with the aggressors and would be regarded as neutral? No. Any country, I mean, the international responsibility of states under international law requires that they try to avoid escalation, not to contribute to this aggression.
Well, the UK has stayed back in this war.
I think that's what any responsible nation must do, because UK and other Europeans know very well that this is an illegal war imposed on Iranians. It has no justification under international law. It is, strictly speaking, it is an act of aggression that is prohibited under the United Nations Charter.
Well,
so every
you'll
nation
know that
claims
America,
rule of law, they have to hold the United States and Israel accountable for this act of aggression against Iran.
But you'll know that America says that you were just weeks away from developing a nuclear weapon. You possess 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium. That was the basis for the war here. Iran was a threat.
No, it was not. First, they said that there was an imminent threat from Iran. But themselves, the Pentagon, said there was no imminent threat from Iran. And please remember that in June, they themselves claimed that Iran's nuclear program was obliterated. And you know that Iran's nuclear program is absolutely peaceful. It has been certified many times by IAEA that Iran's nuclear program was safeguarded and was completely peaceful. So it is a big lie.
America doesn't believe that, and they've stated their evidence of the fact that Iran was weeks away from developing a nuclear weapon. But let me just talk about what America has said since this last war broke out. The ballistic missile capacity has been functionally destroyed, they say. Likewise, your Navy, they've got aerial dominance, your drone manufacturing capacity has been decimated. How long can Iran keep fighting back?
We are defending our territorial integrity, our sovereignty, and our dignity against the aggressors.
How long can you carry on doing that?
They say whatever they want to say, as long as it takes, because this is a matter of patriotism. Iranians are defending against an unjust war. Again, you referred to nuclear weapon. Let me respond. That's a big lie. You have to refer to the IAEA. If you agree that the International Atomic Energy Agency is the UN-recognized watchdog, show me just one single piece of evidence that Iran's nuclear program is deviating from peaceful purposes.
Yeah, 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium. That's not a lie, is it?
That's exactly what we were talking, ma'am. We were talking to take care of that and some other issues. I refer you to the mediator, Minister of Oman, Foreign Minister of Oman, who said there was significant progress in the negotiations. What happened? Just one day after the negotiations, and while we were supposed to meet in Vienna for technical discussions, they attacked Iran. And this was the second time in a matter of 9 months that they betrayed diplomacy. Please do not forget that we were negotiating, and everyone agreed that the negotiating was going well.
So are you open to talks with the US now?
How come? We were negotiating. We were negotiating when they decided to attack Iran for no reason. So do you think any nation which is right now under attack, whose leaders have been assassinated by terrorist actions, what do you expect from Iran to do?
Yeah, but
we are
you open?
ourselves.
But clearly this war has to come to an end somehow. Are you open to talks to bring it to an end?
Talk to whom? Talk to those who do not believe in diplomacy? They have proven to everyone.
But what is the end game here? What is the end game? How does Iran end this war?
As I said, we didn't start this war, okay? We are defending ourselves. Look at what they are saying to their public, to the whole international community. They insist that they are going to continue their death and destruction on Iranian. They are saying proudly they do not believe in any rule of law. They are saying that no mercy, no quarter, and this is war crime. So do we have any other choice other than defending our territorial integrity and sovereignty against this barbaric act of aggression?
So you're content and you have the capacity to turn this into a forever war with America?
It is not Iran that has been fighting forever wars.
Subscribe, guys.
This is the United States and Israel that have turned our region into a scene of everlasting wars. Look at what has been happening for the past 3 years. There has been a genocide in Gaza, attacks against Lebanon, against 7 countries. So Iran has been in the region for millennia. We do not welcome war. We didn't start this war. But we have to fight ferociously because this is an unjust war imposed against Iran.
Right, but you say you don't welcome this war, so how does this war end? Is it, for example, if you renounce your right to enrich uranium, is that a price worth paying to bring peace to the region and peace to your people?
As I said, it was not a matter of enrichment. It was not a matter of nuclear issue. We were talking together. Basically, they said that they obliterated Iran's nuclear program in June. So it means they have trying to find every excuse to further this whimsical war. They themselves do not know what is the purpose of this war other than being dragged by Israel into this war.
But I've asked you several times now how you envisage bringing an end to this war, helping to bring about peace, and you haven't been able to answer that question. So I can only conclude that you're really saying to America, this is a forever war if you decide it will be.
No, ma'am, you are simply misrepresenting what I'm saying. I'm telling you that while Iran is under constant attack,
you can't stand her. Oh boy.
While Tehran is being bombed by the United States and Israel, we have to focus on defending our people against this barbaric act of aggression.
Right.
So you have to direct this question to those who started this war, not to a nation that is the victim of aggression.
Well, and many of your people are also the victims of Iranian aggression, but we'll come back to that in a second. There's been no sign of Mojtaba Khamenei, the supreme leader, the new supreme leader. Has he left the country? Is he in Moscow receiving medical treatment, as has been reported?
I'm so sorry that you are trapped by this propaganda. Iranian leaders are proud enough to stay in their home and fight. Look what happened to our supreme leader. He was assassinated when he was in his office. And I don't know what is the source of this propaganda, this psychological warfare that you are raising it as question.
So will you state as fact that the new supreme leader is alive and well and in Iran?
Of course.
You've seen him? You've spoken to him?
I'm not supposed to see him.
But no one has seen him, so it's rather hard to believe what you're saying.
Okay, you can have your own judgment, but I said what I need to say.
So you're convinced that the new supreme leader is alive and well and in your country?
Sure.
Who's actually running?
What? Boy, he didn't sound really convinced on that one. Sure.
The government of Iran, because a lot of the leaders have been taken out by America.
What we have been witnessing has been a terrorist act, war crime, and I think the world has to really stop being indifferent toward these massive acts of war crime and crimes against humanity.
Hit the like button.
Well, there have been crimes against humanity committed by Iran too, haven't there? Not least against its own people. Tens of thousands of people.
You ask a question, again, it's a big lie, and I'm sorry that even the mainstream media is being duped by those who have propagated these lies.
Duped.
I was telling you that Iranian system is the outcome, is the result of a popular revolution, is a well-established system. It is not a one-rule ban that you can kill a number of people and you expect that the system collapse. This is based on the will of the people, ma'am.
But it's not a lie, is it, that thousands of your own people have been killed by your own military?
Wow.
And I wonder, Israel...
He asked some hard questions. You know, most people would softball this guy. But she's getting in there. I like it.
Is asking the Iranian people to rise up and take control of their country. What are the consequences if they do that?
As I said, what happened in January?
What happened?
Was the result of the United States and Israel infiltrating in peaceful protesters, gunmen shooting down police forces and peaceful protesters. 3,000 innocent persons, 3,170 persons were killed. 2,400 of them were regarded as martyrs because they were either police officers or the protesters. So, and I think it's very clear to everyone that it was part of the United States and Israel plan to make Iran insecure.
It wasn't Israel and America, though, was it, killing the thousands of people who were protesting, who were calling for freedom? That wasn't Israel and America killing them.
It was peaceful protests turned violent by their interventionist propaganda. When the United States president called for more killing, he said, if there are more killings...
He can't stand her. He's about to throw a chair.
He would intervene, ma'am. And that was a message given to those infiltrators more. So everyone knows it was part of their scheme to make Iran insecure. And I'm telling you, I wonder why don't you ask any question about 175 innocent kids that were killed in the first hours of United States-Israel attack against the city of Mina.
Well, so you know what? We've asked America, and we will continue to ask about that. That's not a question for you. But just finally, I want to give you one more chance, because people are suffering in your own country and across the world, and particularly in the region.
She is good.
How does Iran help to bring peace to the region? What concession might you offer to bring peace?
2 points for London.
Again, I'm really surprised that you are directing this question to the representative of a country.
Hit the like button. Hi.
That is under attack. We didn't start this war. You have to
under attack and also attacking.
No, we are not attacking. We are defending ourselves. We are defending ourselves against this barbaric act of aggression by two nuclear-armed regimes. Remember, they are both nuclear-armed. They are attacking another country with the excuse that is even unclear for themselves. First, they said imminent threat. Then they said we had to intervene because Israel was going to attack Iran and we had to preempt. So you have to direct this question to those who are the cause of this calamity for the whole region and for the international community.
Wow. So we're going to jump over to some statements here about a little update on the Iran war efforts from earlier today, I believe.
Provide a brief update on Operation Epic Fury, which is a very good name, as it turns out. That was the name. They showed me 20 names, sir. what name would you like? I didn't like any of them. And then I get toward the end, I said, you got to be kidding. What?
86
Operation
coming in hot. 10 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. Welcome new members and get at those emojis with those new memberships. We got members emojis here. Thank you so much, 86. Wait, let me give you a... There you go.
Epic Fury. I love that name. And it's very appropriate for what's taken place, if you know, in Iran, because we knocked out their Navy. We knocked out their Air Force. We knocked out their anti-aircraft. We knocked out everything. And we did it with fury, actually. As I announced earlier, based on preliminary conversations between the United States and Iran over the past 2 days, I've directed the Department of War to temporarily postpone planned strikes against
Thank you for the jewels.
major energy and electricity targets in Iran. They have very, very big new, actually,
Aussie.
and very expensive, billions of dollars it costs to build them. One missile, one of our powerful ones, and it comes down to the ground like it was made out of dust. But to determine whether a broader agreement can be reached, we've had very good discussions, very, very good discussions. And you have to understand, I know
Thanks, Adam.
my whole life has been a negotiation, but with Iran, we've been negotiating for a long time. And this time, they mean business. And it's only because of the great job that our military did is the reason they mean business. They want to settle, and we're going to get it done, I hope. So hopefully this will be possible, but no matter what, we'll ensure that Iran never obtains a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. They would have had one if we allowed the Obama deal to stand. That was the Iran nuclear deal, they called it. They would have had one. Marcia 3. But I'll tell you what, Martha, we would have nuclear weapons up there when, would you say, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago? We would have been in a position that nobody...
Erica coming in with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Erica. Thank you.
...wants to be in. We won't allow...
Welcome new members.
...ourselves to be in that position. Over the past 3 weeks, the United States military and our partners have been decimating Iran's military capabilities with overwhelming firepower, skill, lethality, and force, and we're destroying their ballistic missiles and drones programs with launchers down by more than 90%. We're hitting their launchers at a level that nobody even thought of before. 90%. They can't launch them, and they don't have very many of them because most of them have been annihilated. But we've annihilated their defense industrial base, eliminating their Navy. We had 158 ships are down. I said to my people, why didn't you capture the ship? I said, were they good or not? They said, they were great, sir. So why didn't you capture it? We could have used them. They said, it's more fun to put them at the bottom of the sea. But they're not there anymore. So we eliminated their Navy, Pete, right? And that's gone. We eliminated their Air Force. We eliminated all of their air defense, everything. We eliminated everything there is to eliminate, and we eliminated them. We eliminated their leaders. We had the first set of leaders. They're gone. Then they met, 88 people met. And it's sad. I mean, it's sad they couldn't have made a deal. We could have made a deal with them a long time ago. Then the second set, 88 people met to pick a new leader. And they're now extinguished. And then they're meeting again, but now nobody wants to be the leader. It's one of the few political jobs that nobody wants anywhere.
Did he just say the new, the Khomeini son? He kind of alluded to the fact that he was dead, didn't he?
The world, nobody wants it. It's a very dangerous job. My job is dangerous too, but their job is worse. In other words, we're a world, nobody wants it. It's a very dangerous job. I could have made a deal with them a long time ago. Then the second set, 88 people met to pick a new leader, and they're now extinguished.
Interesting, huh? Bright Light, thank you for the jewels.
And then they're meeting again, but now nobody wants to be the leader. It's one of the few political jobs that nobody wants anywhere in the world. Nobody wants it. It's a very dangerous job. My job is dangerous too, but their job is worse. In other words, we're systematically dismantling the regimes ability to threaten America. They're not threatening us anymore. As Commander-in-Chief, it's my sacred responsibility to protect our country from all threats. For decades, Iran refused every opportunity to renounce its nuclear ambitions, and in recent months, its own negotiators bragged to our representatives about having enough material to make nuclear weapons. To deter, it made me more anxious, and it just made it much more important. This mission that we're all on together was much more important, and we did it quicker. Iran's missile capabilities were also growing so fast that it would soon have become virtually impossible to stop them. Once they have a missile, once they have what they were building was incredible. And you got a little glimpse of it by the fact that when they came out, they started shooting all of their neighbors. Their neighbors weren't fighting with them. They were getting along okay with their neighbors. And I was surprised. Everybody was surprised. And it actually worked in reverse because their neighbors then turned against them. Now Iran has one more opportunity to end its threats to America and our allies, and we hope they take it. Either way, America and the entire world will soon be much safer and will be a much more secure planet. In addition to all of this, we're working on so many different things. You know, our economy was fantastic. We had a Dow at 50,000. They say it couldn't happen in 4 years. It wouldn't happen during my term. But if I got anywhere close, it would be a great success. Well, in my first year, we hit 50,000. And with the S&P, they said, even more difficult. They said it would be impossible to hit 7,000 on the S&P. And we hit that in our first term. And then, unfortunately, I called Pete, I called General Kane, I called a lot of our great people. We have great people. And I said, let's talk. We got a problem in the Middle East. We have a country known as Iran that for 47 years has been just a purveyor of terror, and they're very close to having a nuclear weapon. We can keep going and get that 50,000 up to 55 and 60. There's no end. Or we can take a stop and make a little journey into the Middle East and eliminate a big problem. And
Wow.
Pete, I think you were the first one to speak up. And you said, let's do it, because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. So we are now having really good discussions. They started last night, a little bit, the night before that. And I think they're very good. They want peace. They've agreed they will not have a nuclear weapon, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll see. You have to get it done. But I would say there's a very good chance. And it began when I said that we were planning tomorrow on shooting down some of their power plants, and we're going to hold that up. Hopefully we won't have to do it. And hopefully we can make a deal that's good for all of us, including the Middle Eastern allies that have been very good to us, including Israel, that's been a great partner in this fight. They've really been a good partner in the fight. They fought hard. But we'll see what happens. I think there's a very good chance we're going to end up in a deal. And so we're giving it 5 days, and then we're going to see where that takes us. And I would say at the end of this period, I think it could very well end up being a very good deal for everybody. As good as if we went all the way and just literally annihilated the place, which if we don't have to do that, that would be a good thing, not a bad thing.
Let's check up on this presser from the other day. I want to see this. This is another gaggle. All right, this is from a day or two ago.
I thought I'd bring our great Secretary of State out, and he is doing a fantastic job. So we have Marco. Go ahead, please.
Mr. President, I want to ask you, Iran executed 3 people this week.
Terrible.
You have vowed strong action in the past. What message would you send?
Well, we've been hitting them awfully hard. I mean, I don't know if you can possibly get hit harder, but these are thugs and animals and horrible people. But you can't hit anybody harder than we've hit them. But I'm not surprised. They executed 3 young people for protesting.
And do you plan to escort those ships through the Strait of Hormuz with or without allies?
We're doing very well there. We're doing very well overall. We don't use the Strait. The United States. We don't need it. Europe needs it. Korea, Japan, China, a lot of other people. So they'll have to get involved a little bit on that one.
Mr. President, do you still want South Korea support the United States?
Yeah, what about it?
Do you still want South Korea support?
Well, I love South Korea. We have a great relationship with South Korea. We're helping South Korea a lot.
Mr. President, do you think Israel will be ready to end the war when you're ready to end the war?
I think so.
Mr. President,
The relationship's a very good one. I think so.
Mr. President.
We want more or less similar things. You know what we want? We want victory, both of us, and that's what we've got.
Mr. President.
What's your plan for Card Island, Mr. President? What's your plan for Card Island?
You know, I may have a plan or I may not, but how would I ever say that to a reporter? If I said that to a reporter, Marco would say, please, sir, let's bring you over to the helicopter immediately. Right? No, I can't tell you that.
Mr. President, the economic pain.
It's certainly a place that's people are talking about, but I can't say. Yeah.
Are you ruling out ground troops there, though?
Epicure affect talks with Russia on Ukraine?
What about it?
Are the talks on back burner right now because of
no? We're talking about it. I think it'll get done.
When do you expect the next round of talks to take place?
They take place almost every day. We're making a lot of progress.
Mr. President, you said that the war was militarily won in Iran. What did you mean by that? You said the war was militarily won in Iran. What did you mean by that?
Oh, I think we've won. We've knocked out their Navy, their Air Force. We've knocked out their anti-aircraft. We've knocked out everything. We're roaming free. From a military standpoint, all they're doing is clogging up the strait. But from a military standpoint, they're finished.
So how much longer should the American people expect?
You said opening the Strait of Hormuz is a simple military maneuver.
Very simple.
Yeah, but what did you mean by that?
It's a simple military maneuver. It's relatively safe, but you need a lot of help in the sense of you need ships, you need volume. And NATO could help us, but they so far haven't had the courage to do so. And others could help us, but you know, we don't use it. You know, at a certain point, it'll open itself at a certain point. But we've defeated the enemy, and they are an enemy. They're a sick group of people. The leadership is gone, the Navy is gone, the Air Force is gone, the anti-aircraft equipment that they have, the radar they have is all gone, everything's gone. The strait itself, the actual strait, how are you? Hi. The strait itself is, we're doing a good job, but it would be nice if the countries, including China, if the countries that use it, China uses it 90% of their energy, Japan is 95% of the energy. It would be nice if those countries would get involved.
But what did you call
What? I thought she did a good job yesterday.
Regarding the American bases in Europe, Lindsey Graham has asked for you to reconsider the American bases in Spain, in Germany, after what they have done in the Strait of Hormuz. What's your take?
Well, it deserves. He's right about asking that, and I think NATO's gone down a long way because they haven't. I mean, they should be helping with the Strait. They get much of their energy from the Strait of Hormuz, and if Lindsey Graham said that, and don't forget, he was the big NATO guy for a while, and now he's not. And a lot of senators and congressmen, they were big. They're very upset with the fact that NATO has done nothing.
Pope Leo is calling for a ceasefire in the Middle. Pope Leo is calling for a ceasefire in the Middle East and to reopen dialogue. What do you say to the Pope?
Well, look, we can have dialogue, but we don't. I don't want to do a ceasefire. You know, you don't do a ceasefire when you're literally obliterating the other side. They don't have a Navy. They don't have an Air Force. Right. They don't have any equipment. They don't have any spotters. They don't have anti-aircraft. They don't have radar, and their leaders have all been killed at every level. We're not looking to do that. Thank you. Thank you. I thought he was a great guy. Wow. Yeah, he was a Chuck Norris died. I didn't know that. He was a great guy. He was a really good, tough cookie. You didn't want to fight him, I can tell you. He was a tough, great guy, and he was a great supporter. Wow, that's too bad. Tell his family highest respect. Okay? Great man. I know him. I get along with him great, and I probably would.
Do you want to make a deal with him? Do you want to make a deal with Vito Bellowa?
Well, I get along with him very well.
Are you deploying the additional troops for deterrence or to optimize your operational capabilities?
Well, I would say this, that if I told you the answer to that question, my military people would be very happy.
Put a 1 in the chat if you support Trump. Put a 2 in the chat if you do not. Let's check the temperature.
We have a lot of troops. We have unlimited ammunition. We have the greatest equipment in the
And hit that like button.
world. And we are decimating Iran. It's about time. And frankly, it should have been done long before me. It should have been done before other
Polls have shown that MAGA is essentially unified behind you as a Republican when it comes to gun control. There's been reports that the United States might be sending 2,500 Marines to the Middle East. Are you concerned that a move like that could potentially change the unity?
Well, I don't know. I seem to have great support because CNN came out with a poll today that I'm at 100%. And they said they've never seen a poll like that. The CNN poll said I'm at 100%, and they've never seen that before, which is an honor. I was impressed that CNN would do that. But as far as troops are concerned, I can't tell you what we're doing.
Mr. President, you took issue with Australia, Japan, and South Korea this week.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
Very surprised about Australia and what? What would you like them to do?
I'm going to mix it up. We got some Bernie Sanders coming up, okay? Talking about the president's mental health. Nothing better than that.
Well, they should get involved, and
we do the news a little different here, folks. I hope you like it. And subscribe, relax, hang out with us. We got a lot coming up.
I'm surprised that they said no, because we always say yes to them.
What did Australia say no to? What did Australia say no to?
They'll allow the U.S. to use air bases to defend the Strait of Hormuz. What's your response to that?
Well, it's been a very late response in the UK. Surprised because the relationship is so good, but this has never happened before. They were really pretty much our first ally, all over the world, first ally, and they didn't want us to use the island, the so-called island, which for some reason they gave up rights to it, and I was a little surprised at the UK, to be honest with you. They should have acted a lot faster.
Have you spoken with the Prime Minister?
I have. They should have acted a lot faster.
Mr. President.
Did you see that your former press secretary, Sarah Sanders, was asked to leave a restaurant by staff who felt threatened by her politics?
Well, her politics are right down the center.
Marco.
She's a good person, and that shouldn't have happened. Where did that take place, here or in Arkansas?
In Arkansas.
Wow, in Arkansas, that's very surprising. I love Arkansas. I won that state by so much. I think that Sarah's going to be just fine, but it's too bad. She's a good woman, Sarah.
Mr. President, the price of oil is way up. The stock market is down. Did you miscalculate the cost of going into Iran?
No. We're not giving a nuclear weapon to terrorist thugs, and we're knocking the hell out of them. Their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, their leaders are gone, their anti-aircraft is gone, everything's gone.
But did you expect the economic
No, I expected
their Navy gone, though?
Worse, actually.
Mr. President, you still
I thought that oil prices would go much higher when I did this.
You still support?
We just set every record in the book with Dow, with the S&P. Dow.
How much is gas where you guys are, chat? Let me know in the chat. How much is gas where you are? I'm in LA. All right. I don't think anybody's going to get more expensive than LA. Maybe Manhattan.
50,000, S&P at 8,000, 7,000 at levels, at speed like nobody's ever seen before. But I said I have to go off in that path and I have to take a little journey. We have to get and he would agree, but he's not going to say it. And this is not St. Patrick's Day, by the way. What are you doing with that tie? But we had to go off on a circuitous path and take care of business, and we are in the process of doing it. And I'll tell you, I think we're weeks ahead of schedule. My Secretary of State is very happy. You have a question for Marco?
Yes. How soon President Trump said this week that he can take Cuba. How soon can that happen?
Well, I mean, Cuba's a disaster, and it's because of their communist government. It doesn't work. So I don't have any news for you on that today, other than that's been going on for 67 years. They're a disaster. It's the worst it's ever been.
And
Cuba's next.
what are you guys hearing from your Senate colleagues about the chances of the Save America Act passing?
Well, it seems to be doing okay. It's voter ID. You have to have citizenship
California with the highest gas.
Vote. And I'm hearing very good things. I mean, I was hearing negative things because the Democrats are all against voter ID. They're all against citizenship to vote. They're against transgender. You know, they like the transgender thing with mutilization of your children. All of the things that we talk about. You know, we added two little elements. No men in women's sports, right? You know that. We added that. And when you add them all up, whether you take 4 or 5, I think they're all 95 to 99% issues. I hear it's going, look, it should be an easy pass, but we need Democrat votes. They don't want to approve voter ID because they cheat. They don't want to approve citizenship. In other words, we want to have citizenship in order to vote. You have to prove your citizenship. The Democrats don't want to do that. You know why, Peter? You know why? Because they want to cheat, Peter. Now, speaking of something that's more pleasant, see that? It's going to be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world. Nothing like it. And they just started today one of the biggest pours of concrete that's ever been seen in Washington, D.C.
When they're doing the construction, does it ever wake you up?
It makes me happy when I hear those pile drivers. My wife doesn't love it, but I love the sound. I love the sound of concrete. I love the sound of pile drivers.
How are you, Mr. President? One question.
All right, so I promised you some Bernie, all right? And Bernie, I shall deliver, because this is always great when Bernie Sanders checks in on recent events. Let's have a listen.
Committee, and just today filed 3 joint resolutions of disapproval to force an end to the war in Iran. I want to start on the Veterans Affairs Committee that you served on. And I know you've been incredibly active in veterans issues throughout the duration of your career. And one of the things that I think anyone who's worked with veterans and around veterans knows is the gravity, the solemnity, the stakes of war, of what it means to send people to war, what it means to be shooting at people and possibly causing their death, and what that can mean to the people that do it. And I just wonder your reaction to see the glibness, the weird casualness, the strangeness of the way this president seems to undertake this entire enterprise.
Look, we are living, as I think most people know, with a president who is a pathological liar. He is an authoritarian. What concerns him most is wealth and power. I think he has very little empathy for his fellow human beings. And you're quite right. It is extremely dangerous that a man like that is president of the United States. And Chris, what we have got to do, is figure out why that happened and how we build a political movement of working people that ends Trumpism once and for all, starting in 2026.
As I mentioned, there were 3 resolutions introduced today to try to force votes that would restrain the war, both in terms of the U.S. war in Iran, arms sales to Israel as well. What are those resolutions, and is there any hope of success as were the war to drag on?
Is there hope of success? I would like to think so. I wouldn't bet the farm on it. You got a lot of people here in Congress who are under the thumb of AIPAC and other special interests. The bottom line is that to give another 20,000 bombs to a country which committed genocide in Gaza happens to be, among many other things, forget the moral issue, happens to be in violation of American law. You don't sell arms, according to American law, to countries that violate international law and human rights. Clearly, Israel has done that. Israel talked Netanyahu, who for 40 years has wanted a war with Iran, finally got a president to go along with him, started this war. And it's not only the horror that's taking place in Iran right now, something like 15%, 1 million people in Lebanon have been displaced. Israel is moving aggressively in the West Bank, killing people, displacing people, making the idea of a two-state solution virtually impossible. Why anybody in their right minds would want to continue funding Israel is beyond me.
It's not just, of course, funding Israel, which is a partner in this war. And I should note the International Court of Justice has allowed for that international law case of accusing them of genocide to go forward, though there has not been a determination on that. But there's also, of course, the U.S. spending. The word today that it's going to be a $200 billion war supplemental request coming from the White House to the Senate. I got to say, and maybe I'm a cockeyed optimist, I think that's going to be a tough vote for them to win, but maybe I'm crazy.
Look, this is, Chris, on top of a $1 trillion appropriation. They want another $200 billion. You got people all over this country, 20% of households spending 50% of their income on housing. People can't afford health care. People can't afford child care. And this guy, in addition to giving tax breaks to billionaires, now wants to spend another $200 billion on a war that should never have been fought. So I think, clearly, I think the Trump people are in a bit of panic. They're losing ground. Gas prices are soaring. There is massive discontent against this war. It's got to end, and we've got to make sure that Trump is neutered in 2026.
What?
There was some news today. I've been watching you. You've been spending more and more time talking about AI and talking about what it might do to the American economy. There was news today that caught my eye, and I think it caught yours as well, which is Jeff Bezos, who's one of the richest men in the world. He's worth $234 billion, is planning both to kind of use robots to replace, maybe thousands, hundreds of thousands of Amazon workers. But he's also now going to raise a fund that is going to be investing in the automation and replacement of manufacturing workers in all sorts of industries everywhere. This seems like, I don't know, maybe not a great idea given the way that what we've seen happening to America's manufacturing core. But I guess I'd say it's a private decision in a private market. What can you do?
Well, there's a lot that we can do. I mean, for a start, we may be wanting to be talking about a tax on robots. But for
tax on robots.
What we are seeing now is a handful of the wealthiest people in the world, Bezos being one, Mark Zuckerberg, Ellison, pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into the development and implementation of AI and robotics. And what is the goal? The goal, obviously, is to make money for corporations and themselves and to replace human labor. And now Bezos is upfront about it. Hey, we can automate, put robots in manufacturing plants all over America, throw workers out on the street. We can make these companies have more and more money and more profits. The only thing that maybe Bezos hasn't considered is if you create mass unemployment, if people are not earning any money, how the hell are they going to buy anything? What happens to the economy? And I think there is more and more concern about the impact of AI and robotics being pushed again by people who have endless amounts of greed. That's all these guys want, more wealth and more power for themselves. But Bezos has been blatant. We're going to throw workers out on the street, and we're going to make more money for manufacturing companies.
I mean, send gas to $5 a gallon and take away everyone's jobs through automation. And I mean, good luck. I don't know what exactly people think the game plan is here. Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So that was Senator Bernie Sanders. We're going to go back to President Trump talking at this Commander-in-Chief trophy presentation. I took a couple days off, so we're catching up on some things here, some updates. When you come here, I'm going to give you the whole story, right, from front to back.
Who is an accomplished Navy linebacker, a very good one. Back in the day, we're also pleased to be joined by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Now, I don't know if Pete's here because I actually told him he had an option, be in the sit room, the famous situation, or be up here. And if it's okay, I told him, but I think he has two very beautiful sons up here, to the best, Boone and Jackson. Are you two guys? Well, I told your father, just be in the situation room. We're okay with that, right? I think so, right, Coach? Coach, I think you're okay. So Boone and Jackson, someday you'll be on this team maybe, right? Would you be a Navy, Army, Air Force? Which one? Take Navy. Just say Navy, okay. I don't want to get them in trouble. And your father's doing a fantastic job. and also the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane. So Dan is unbelievable, and I picked him for a reason because I was told it would take 5 years to beat ISIS by our television generals. You know, there's a big difference between generals, just like there is between coaches and everything else. They said, sir, 5 years, and I went to Iraq because I didn't understand why 5 years, and I met this general, and his name was Dan Kane. I said, what's your name? He said, Raisin, sir. I said, really, Raisin? What is that, Raisin? Oh, it's just my nickname, sir. What's your last name? Kane. I said, your name's Raisin Kane? I love you. You're the guy I'm looking for. And it turned out to be right. So they told me it was going to take 4 to 5 years to knock out ISIS. And now I'm in Iraq. I come down, I meet him, some other generals. He was the boss. And I said, how long would it take for you to knock out ISIS? He said, 4 weeks, sir. I said, 4 weeks? They tell me 4 years, maybe 5. He said, well, whatever they want, sir. They're the boss. I'm just here. But you can do it in 4 weeks, sir. And you'll have time left over. I said, you got to be kidding. And he explained, and we went through a whole big thing. Well, nobody in this room would be bored by it. Actually, you'd like to hear every word. I'll tell you every word of it. But bottom line, I said, let me go back. But as I'm leaving, it was very interesting. I'm walking down the stairs, long fight. I had to turn off the lights after spending trillions of dollars. You had to turn the lights off in the plane because you didn't want to be spotted by the enemy. This was something. So we land. And he said, sir, would you like to rest for a while before we have a meeting? I said, I don't have to rest. My name's not Biden. I don't want to. I'm not resting. And we had great meetings. And then I got back on the plane. I said to him, so, General, you say 4 weeks. We mean that, right? 4 weeks, sir, and you'll have time left over. He said, I'll call you on Monday when I get back. And I called him. I said, you still feel that way, General? He said, yes, sir. And I let him do it. He did it in less than 4 weeks. He defeated ISIS. It was amazing. What a difference. You know, I always say, what a difference the president makes. The border. They said, it can't be done without Congress. It will take years. We did it in about 3 weeks. We have a border that's now 9 months in a row. Nobody's come into our country illegally. I'm not even sure if that could be right. But the Democrats keep the stats. So they say, I mean, they have 0 people came in through our border. You see it, right? And I said, the president makes a big difference. Well, the generals make a big difference, too. But I told him, I said, Dan, if you don't mind, stay in the Situation Room and you watch all those attacks that we're hitting those guys with, and they don't know what's happening. Their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft is all gone, it's all gone, their radar is all gone, their leaders are all gone, the next set of leaders are all gone, and the next set of leaders are mostly gone, and now nobody wants to be a leader over there anymore. We're having a hard time. We want to talk to them, and there's nobody to talk to. We have nobody to talk to, and you know what? We like it that way. And we have many other distinguished members of the United States military, but I want to tell you, Hegseth is doing a great job, and Raisin Kane is doing a great job, as good as anybody's ever seen. Don't forget, we had Venezuela. That was the beginning where people started to see the talent. I rebuilt the military and built it, frankly, including Space Force, but I rebuilt the military in my first term. I didn't think I'd be using it this much, but I'm glad I rebuilt it because we can't let these lunatics have nuclear weapons because they were going to use them. They'd use them fast. One of the ways you know that is when this whole thing started, they started shooting missiles all over the Middle East at countries that were basically not involved because they wanted to take over the Middle East. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. The only question would have been the first hour or the first day. That's the only question. They would have used it. And if they can use a nuclear weapon, the world would have been in big trouble. We had to stop. It should have been done long ago. I also want to thank FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, perhaps the most powerful man in this room. You are doing some job. He's trying to keep the fake news. He's trying to make the fake news real and respect it again, which is not an easy job, but you're doing a really amazing job. First time that's happened in 25 years. So I congratulate you and everybody in the room. Everybody in this whole country is watching what you're doing, and we appreciate it. When a man can get elected in a landslide, winning think of it, 7 swing states, win them all. We win the popular vote. We win the Electoral College by a tremendous amount. We win the counties by 82 or 84%. And I got no good press. Think of it. Only one thing. That only means one thing. These people are not respected. They're just not respected. And we have to have a press that's respected. When you can win an election where they say that I got 94% bad press, think of it. The other side got 94% good press. When they can get 94% and you win in a landslide, that means the press is not respected. People have no confidence in. So you're doing a fantastic job. Senators Todd Young and Dan Sullivan, great senators, wherever you may be. You're here someplace. Where are you? Hello, fellas. Good senators. Great guys. Representatives Ronnie Jackson.
Welcome, everybody. Come in, come in.
White House doctor. He served 3 presidents. He said he had Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of Barack Hussein Obama? You had Obama. I didn't want to talk about Biden, but he said, and you had Bush. You had young Bush, I call him, young Bush. I was not a fan, but that's all right. But the press asked him, who was the healthiest of the 3? Dr. Ronnie, stand up, Dr. Ronnie. There's a big deal. Took a lot of heat for this. They said, no, most guys would say, well, we don't want to talk about that. They said, who's the healthiest of the 3? He said, President Donald J. Trump by far. If he didn't eat junk food, he'd live to 200 years old, he said. And I love this guy. And he then left and he ran. He was an admiral. And he then left and he was a White House doctor, a very respected one. He saved a lot of lives. He was a great doctor. People don't realize that. And
thank you, Anonym, for the
He then left and he said, sir, I'd like to run for Congress. I said, you've never done it before. You won't be able to pull it off. In a very, very all-Trump district, there were 28 people running. Man was retiring. He's been there for years. And I said, Ron, I don't know. It's going to be tough, but we'll try it, right? And we got him in. He blew him away. There was one man that was favored. He was a rhino. He was favored to win easily. And we wiped him out, right, Ron? And he's been a congressman. He's one of the most popular people in Congress. But I don't care about that. I just care that he was my doctor, and he said I'm the healthiest human being he's ever. Ronnie, am I healthier than these guys back here? Yes, sir. Oh, thank you. All right. See, this is why I like him. Also with Ronnie is Derek Van Orden, a fantastic guy, and members of the Naval Academy's Board of Visitors. Sean Spicer has gone on to great things, and Walt Nuda. Walt, where's Walt? Walt's become a very famous guy. He works with me, and he does a great job. Great, loyal, incredible person. And Sean Spicer, where's Sean? Where's Sean? Great job. And he's got a very successful television career going. What the hell do I get out of it? Well, you know what I get? Nice statements. That's what I get out of it, right? 100%. It's great. You've done great. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Those are really the people that are very much in charge of making everything work at the Academy. And the other academies, separate groups, a very important position. For the Navy midshipmen, 2025 was truly a season for the ages. You didn't just win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, you made history as one of the greatest teams to ever wear the proud uniform of Navy football, some uniform. The teams have gotten so good in the schools that I was able to get, and we're pushing it very hard to make it permanent, a military academy deferment policy. So, because you have some people here, you know, when I went on the field and I threw up a coin, I'm standing next to these guys, they were monsters. I said, look at the size of these guys. I thought they were supposed to be smaller. I thought you had sort of restrictions on size, you know? We got rid of that because some of these guys were extremely large. And we have the NFL teams here also. When whoever wins the Super Bowl, they come. The baseball teams, we had the Dodgers, we have them all. But I saw the size of these guys, so I got used to it. And I said, these guys are as big as the NFL. And at one of the visits a while ago, first term, they asked me, they said, sir, we have a hard time recruiting because a player, if he's really good, he can't do the 4 or 5 years in the military service. Could you would like to do a military academy deferment policy? I immediately knew what he meant. And we got it done. And it allows you to defer your service until after your career. So if you're going to the NFL for 10 years, so now everyone wants to join. So do I get credit for this successful team then? The superintendent's going to say yes. I don't know about the coach. I don't know about Kelly. But the coach, I think, it made your life a little bit easier. It was tough. It was tough for the teams when they used to have to play guys that were twice their size, right? So they did good. They had better heart. They have the best heart in the business, but size does matter. And so what we did is we got that so you have a deferment, so a lot of people are able to join now, and they do their service later. They're great patriots, but that would be a lot to ask. And I think it's helped your teams really compete at the highest level. The team was led by your incredible senior class, and that includes the co-captain and star quarterback, Blake Horvath, who is fantastic. Where are you, Blake? Wait a minute, you're a player. I was at that game. He's a player. Yeah, but good everything. You can run it, you can throw it. What do you think, NFL material? Sure. You have no choice, you have to. Thank you. Stay up here if you want. Look at this guy. He walks up. Most of them just stay there. Just, they don't want to. Very good. Look at him. I can't get rid of this. I can't stay there if you want. Come on, stay there. He's a quarterback. What the hell? But he ends his college career as one of the most accurate Navy quarterbacks of all time, with an astounding almost 60% completion rate, second only to the man we just spoke about, Roger Staubach, who was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. He served 5 years, and then he came in, and came in at like 27 or something, and he was phenomenal as an NFL player. Likewise, senior wide receiver Eli Haydenreich scorched opposing defenses all year long. They've been writing about him, a lot of stories, setting a school record for receiving touchdowns. And you do need a quarterback for that. Where's Eli? Where's Eli? Come here, Eli. Get over here. Look at the size of this guy.
Hit that like button for me, guys. Almost at 300 likes. Help me out and hit that like button. Let's go.
They're all saying he's got NFL. Pretty good. I see by the size of those hands, you have no trouble catching that ball. Come here. Great. Beautiful. And we're going to bring them down to the Oval Office. Nobody else. We don't have room for none of all these big shots that we have here. None of the senators, none of all these people. We're going to bring them down. We're giving them a special medal, a beautiful medal, a very expensive medal that if I see it on eBay tonight, I'll be extremely upset. All right, so we're going to all march down there later. Congratulations. Thank you very much. That's great. It's very nice that you say that. The whole team is pointing at you. Are you looking to go NFL if you can?
Yes, sir. I'm hoping to.
Okay, good. Good. That's great. I'll bet you make it. So we have Eli and setting all the school records for receiving touchdowns, earning a spot at the NFL Combine, and cementing himself as, without a doubt, the greatest wide receiver in Navy history. That is not bad. Did you do the Combine?
Yes, sir.
How did you find it? Were you impressed by the athletes?
I was, yes, sir.
Were you as good as them?
I like to think
Were
so,
you
yes.
better? They're all saying they like you. They're all saying he's better. Good. I can see it. We're going to watch, okay? We're watching all you guys. And let's not forget one of the strongest athletes the Navy has ever seen. Oh, this is the guy I want to meet. Who was named a first-team All-American. You can't do better than that. On 5 different organizations. So 5 groups named a first-team All-American. Senior lineman and co-captain Landon Robertson. Where's Landon? Where is he? His arms are like steel. It just hurt my hand. I hit his muscle. It's like steel, man. we're not messing. You think I could take him in a fight? Yes. That's like Ronnie. Thank you. Congratulations. That's fantastic. So listen to this about Landon with a 665-pound squat and a 400.
You're all like, yes, sir. Absolutely.
65-pound bench press. What about women playing in men's sports? Think we could have a woman take your position? Is there a woman out there? I don't think so. You know, we're trying to end that. No men. Think of it. No men in women's sports. Maybe I'll put Landon in women's sports for a little while. How ridiculous. I mean, you know, they say that's an 80-20 issue. No, no. That's a 99% issue. It's amazing. Thank goodness the Democrats keep pushing these things. Open borders, transgender for everybody, and they want to have men playing women's sports. So Landon has some really big records, and he's so strong that the team had to special order a longer barbell. I see, because the barbell would break. That's crazy.
Put more plates on
Is he the strongest one of the team? Is everyone? Huh? No doubt, with all you big, strong guys. Look at this guy at the end. What do you think, Landon? Look at that. He's a big guy.
He's the team captain, so you better be
So
nice.
thank you very much. We have a lot of fun at these things. I hope you. I love sports, and I love athletics, and I love competition. I love competition, and these guys are champions. But perhaps no single player better represents the heart and soul of this team than your 5'9", 174. I love those guys. Those guys that are a little smaller than you're supposed to be, but they have a bigger heart than everybody on the team, right? And the other team, too. 174-pound playmaker who delivered key knockouts and blocks on opponents almost twice his size. Senior Brandon Chapman. Brandon plays selfless, relentless football. I got this from his coach. As he likes to say, quote, here's a quote, "The way I look at it, the fight's not over until I win." That's a great, that's it, right?
How did you know?
Just keep going. And that's really the spirit of the Navy and our great sailors. Where are you, Brandon? They love them. Boy, I tell you, you don't have players like that. You don't.
This is quite a day for these fellas.
You don't win. You just can't win. You need people like Brandon, and they all have that big heart. It's very tough when you get into that elite group. When you beat those schools that are big and powerful, it's a pretty amazing thing. This group of winners opposed.
This live stream just hit 200,000 views, by the way. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Hit that like button.
And opened the 2025 season with 7 straight victories, including a thrilling win over one of your top rivals. It's always tough, too, Air Force. Coach, Air Force is always tough. What is that? I mean, they're always tough. You beat them, but they always seem to have a good record, and they always seem to do well, right? But no problem with this team, right? What was the score you won by, Coach? Was it a close game or not that close?
I think we won by 3.
1 by 3. You won a couple of close ones, but you won. Doesn't really matter as long as you win, right? So that's great, Coach. But as every Navy football player knows, you don't make it to the White House unless you also triumph over Army on that second Saturday of December, which is the whole deal. I was at that game. It was amazing. It was an amazing game. The spirit. And I have to say, they introduced Trump, the place went crazy. There were no, let's give a little boo. There wasn't a boo in the house. Even the fake news couldn't say. I've gone to games where I would say I got 97%, but there might be one person, boo, boo. They cover that person. They interview that person. That person becomes a star. But they couldn't find any person at that game. That was some game. It was some scene in the historic 126 Army-Navy football game. And again, something I really enjoyed. I love being there. I'll be there. Coach, I'll be there. You got to be back, Coach. We can't ever lose you. You'll be back, right? Well, you better be back. Do whatever you do, Kelly. Get him signed, right? Speaking of that, and you get him signed, all right? But you battle back from a 2-score deficit to draw within 6 points in the fourth quarter. I was there. It was looking not great. It was not looking great, fellas. You know, I can't say I was rooting for you, but I did want to see that commander-in-chief deal. Is a big deal, right? And it only happens if you win, and it wasn't looking great. With time slipping away, Navy mounted one final drive, and you marched downfield, nearing the goal line after running back Alex Teska broke loose into the secondary, which was amazing, for a huge 24-yard gain. Okay, where's Alex? Where's Alex? I saw Alex before. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. That was fantastic. Thanks. I watched that because it was not looking good until you did that. After you did that, the momentum shifted, right, guys?
So, as we all know,
I think I don't know, I got a problem. And then he did that. We all felt it.
Iranian missiles did hit the Haifa oil refinery. So we're going to look at some comments there. That was quite a moment inside the White House for those boys on the Navy football team. Good for them.
To potentially put U.S. troops or more troops in the region?
No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
President Trump questioned on whether American
Thank you,
troops
Coco,
would be
for
deployed
being a
into
boss.
Iran while speaking next
Member
to
for
Japan's
10
Prime
months.
Minister
How
moments
you
ago.
doing?
And just breaking in the Middle East, CENTCOM says an American F-35 jet made an emergency landing at a regional airbase after flying a combat mission in Iran. The aircraft landed safely. The pilot said to be in stable condition. Hello, I'm John Roberts in Washington. Busy Thursday afternoon already, Sandra. It's only an hour old.
All right, let's kick things off. I'm Sandra Smith in New York. Good to be with you, John. This is America Reports. So CENTCOM releasing this new video today showing U.S. forces taking out Iranian naval assets. It says threatens shipping near the Strait of Hormuz. The president taking NATO and U.S. allies to task earlier this week for not helping keep that strait open. And here was President Trump on that moments ago.
In the case of NATO, they don't want to help us defend the strait, and they're the ones that need it. But now they're getting much nicer because they're seeing my attitude. They're getting much nicer.
All right, let's get straight to our chief foreign correspondent, Trey Yingst. He's reporting live from Tel Aviv at this hour. Hello, Trey.
Live in Tel Aviv.
Sandra, good afternoon. And we start with some breaking news. This evening in Israel, an Iranian ballistic missile targeted the northern city of Haifa, and shrapnel from that missile hit the Bazan oil refinery. This is Israel's largest refinery, and it accounts for more than 50% of the country's gasoline and diesel supplies. You can see some black smoke here in the aftermath of that shrapnel impact, and it comes amid a renewed focus on energy infrastructure across the Middle East after Israeli airstrikes targeted Iran's South Pars gas field yesterday. This immediately drew a response from the Iranian regime, who went after more Gulf oil facilities and gas fields, targeting Qatar's Ras Laffan facility. And the Qataris say that 17% of their liquefied natural gas output has been reduced as a result of this attack. It could take up to 5 years, according to reports, to repair the damage caused in that Iranian strike. Now, President Trump overnight took to Truth Social about the initial Israeli strikes, saying in part, quote, Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East, has violently lashed out at a major facility known as South Pars gas field in Iran. The Israelis rejected that characterization, but the president today was asked about it in the Oval Office, saying this.
You talked to Prime Minister Netanyahu about attacking the oil and gas fields.
Yeah, I did. I told him don't do that, and he won't do that. We didn't discuss. You know, we do. We're independent, but get along great. It's coordinated, but on occasion he'll do something, and if I don't like it, and so we're not doing that anymore.
The Israelis and their U.S. counterparts are continuing to strike Iranian naval assets. This is the Caspian Sea, just north of Iran, where overnight Israeli fighter jets targeted a variety of Navy vessels belonging to the Iranian regime. This is a concerted effort by the Americans and the Israelis to go after what is left of the Iranian Navy and other IRGC targets. Here in Israel, Sandra, there is an understanding there will be more Iranian ballistic missile fire tonight. Since midnight, there have been 10 different missile barrages that targeted this country. Sandra?
All right, Trey Yingst there in Tel Aviv for us. Trey, thank you very much. John?
All right, Sandra, let's bring in retired Air Force Lieutenant General Mark Wetherington. He has flown the B-2 bomber and has more than 2,000 flying hours, including combat, over Afghanistan. General, great of you to be with us this afternoon. I want to start with the Straits of Hormuz, because that really is an area of concern for literally everybody who puts gas in their tank or heats their home. And there appears to be a big change of heart from Britain, France, Germany, Holland, Italy, and Japan, who put out this statement a short time ago. We express our readiness to contribute to appropriate efforts to ensure safe passage through the strait. We welcome the commitment of nations who are engaging in preparatory planning.
And we're going to jump right over to we see some Bibi in this one. Let's have a listen about Trump halting strikes against Iran, putting that ultimatum on the table for a moment, still there.
Trump posting to Truth Social just moments ago, quote, I am pleased to report that the U.S. and Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East.
Whoa. Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yingst is live in Tel Aviv with the latest. Trey, does that catch you by surprise?
Absolutely. This is a major development. President Trump taking to Truth Social, not only to say there are very good and productive conversations taking place between the United States and Iran, but he goes on to say he's ordered the Department of War to postpone for at least 5 days strikes against Iran's energy and power infrastructure. This comes after the president issued that ultimatum over the weekend about opening the Strait of Hormuz. We don't have any additional information at this point into the president's thinking about this, but this is a president who has applied immense pressure on the Iranian regime through thousands of airstrikes over the past 3 weeks. And this, again, is a president who in the past has indicated he prefers a diplomatic option when one is available. The images you see here are Iranian ballistic missiles soaring through the skies of Israel over the weekend. There were dozens of attacks that took place, the Israelis striking back against Iran's storage facilities for these missiles, going after many of not only the production lines, but where they keep these missiles and launchers. We understand they've been quite successful in those strikes, although the Iranians are still able to get off much of the incoming missile fire here to Israel. In the city of Arad over the weekend, we visited there yesterday, more than 100 people were wounded in a single Iranian ballistic missile attack. But while the focus was there in the south of Israel, regional focus also on the Strait of Hormuz, where President Trump referenced over the weekend the possibility of conducting additional strikes that appear now to be off the table, at least for 5 days. I asked Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about that post.
President Trump said that if in 48 hours the Iranians don't open the Strait of Hormuz, that there will be strikes against the power grids in Iran. Will you participate in those strikes, and what do you think should happen next in this campaign?
I think President Trump knows exactly what he's doing, and whatever we do together, and as far as possible in confidence.
Sounds weird.
So again, the president just breaking some news this morning saying that there will be a 5-day delay to any strikes.
Does that sound weird to you guys?
On Iran's power and energy infrastructure. The Israelis not just looking to the east, but also north to the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. You can see some of the exchanges of fire there in southern Israel, as a top spokesperson for the Israeli military said this about the length of the campaign.
The citizens of Israel, more weeks of fighting against Iran and Hezbollah are expected for us. With each passing day, we are weakening the terror regime more and more. We will not allow the terror regime and its proxies to constitute a threat against Israeli citizens and against the existence of the State of Israel.
Again, though, the headline today, President Trump saying in a post on Truth Social just minutes ago that the United States and Iran have had very good and productive conversations over the past 2 days. And again, President Trump is ordering the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to delay any strikes against Iran's power or energy infrastructure for at least 5 days. Guys?
So we're still waiting, Trey, on any response from the Iranians, because the foreign minister yesterday said, I'm not interested in talking to the U.S. He usually is the spokesperson that does the American shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, you have two relatively moderate voices within the Iranian regime that are still alive. The foreign minister and also Iran's president, Masoud Pezeshkian. Many of the hardliner Shia clerics have been taken out in Israeli and American strikes over the past 3 weeks. But there still is this underlying message that we have seen from the IRGC and other officials in Iran that they want to continue the fight. And so we'll have to do some reporting to determine currently what the situation looks like at what appears to be a negotiating table and whether or not the Iranians are serious about creating and referencing a deal with the United States.
Ainsley, I know you're going to read that full statement, but I want to ask Trey, because you just talked about a lot of the leadership. They're gone. They're dead. Generals, foreign minister. The foreign minister is still alive. But who's the point person now? Who's the United States communicating with? Do we know that yet?
It's a great question, and we don't know that. There are a number of people who could communicate on behalf of the Iranian regime, but again, these are considered more moderate voices. And while the President Masoud Pezeshkian and others have the ability and in the past have communicated with members of the Trump administration, right now we don't know who is actually leading any sort of negotiation that's taking place. According to reports, it is not Iran's current supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, who is believed to be gravely injured as a result of an Israeli strike in the opening hours of this campaign. As this is all continuing, though, the thing to look at here is a de-escalation ladder. We have seen over the past several days the Iranians continuing attacks against Israel and Gulf countries. And if they are serious about creating and adhering to a deal with the United States. You can imagine President Trump and the administration will want some assurances from the Iranian regime that they're not going to continue launching ballistic missiles and drones at U.S. allies and forces across the region.
Okay, Trey, thank you so much. Valuable information this morning. Let me read the full Truth Social that the president just released. I am pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations.
Thank you, Sammy, for the jewel.
And total
Thank you very
resolution
much.
of our hostilities in the Middle East, based on the tenor and tone of these depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week. I have
If everybody hits the like button right now, we'll break 400 likes. I'd appreciate it. Hit that like button for me.
instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for 5 days, for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions.
So Pezeshkian, the president, has urged India to be an arbiter between us and them, because
the president
India's saying, "Hey, can I use the Strait?" And there was a report yesterday, "Yeah, you can use the Strait for $2 million." That's not good. You cannot. No, by the end of this conflict, Iran can no longer have control of that strait. So whatever that needs to be done, that's got to be truly international waters, or else we're going to be back again as soon as we find them doing their nuclear program. We find them making intercontinental ballistic missiles. We come down on them in 3 months. They come out and say, "Hey, well, the strait has been mined." This all has to be resolved. I think the best thing to happen to our case for this battle was that intermediate range missile that went 2,500 miles to Diego Garcia, because it's saying Europe, I've been telling you they're building this. You've not been listening to us. You think it's our problem that we're created, or we're being overzealous so you wanted to talk. What happened? We talked. They weaponized uranium. We talked, and they made intermediate range missiles en route to doing an intercontinental range missiles. Everything they've been accused of, they've been proven.
The irony, though, we asked the UK.
You want to see something really cool? Let's look at the B-2 bomber. This is pretty cool right here. All right, this is what's been going on over there.
The B-2 bombers used in a surprise attack on Iran's Fordo nuclear enrichment plant on Saturday have left the world itching to know more about this stealth aircraft. There are 10 surprising facts about one of the U.S. Air Force's most secretive planes. Number 10. The B-2 Spirit bomber, colloquially known as the stealth bomber, gets its nickname for good reason. The massive plane is quite literally a blip on enemy radars with its advanced technology. The plane's flat,
wow, look at that. Look at that.
Jet black build helps the aircraft disappear into the night sky. And with an extremely aerodynamic design, engines can operate at a much lower intensity, reducing their sound and infrared heat signatures. But what really makes this plane invisible is at its surface. Number 9. The B-2 bombers are coated in a state-of-the-art radar-absorbing material. The paint is incredibly effective at absorbing radio wave labor required to maintain the aircraft. Number 7. The B-2 is designed to endure extraordinarily long missions.
These guys are flying for like 30 hours.
According to its manufacturer, the plane is able to travel up to 6,000 nautical miles on a single fueling. For a stealth craft designed to be invisible, the size of the plane is anything but small. The B-2's wingspan clocks in at a whopping 172 feet. Wow. That's half the length of a football field. Number 4.
Wow.
Because the aircraft does not—
That is a big-ass plane.
Not have a tail like other planes, instead opting for a flying wing design to maximize stealth, this makes the B-2s inherently unstable to fly.
I was the 602nd person to fly in the B-2, so it just kind of puts in perspective how few people total over the lifespan of this aircraft.
Wow, that is crazy. Imagine. Whew, that is a lot. That is a lot. A lot going on there. So Trump's ultimatum still on the table. Netanyahu appears to be alive and steering Israel through this wartime, and the Middle East is lighting up with clashes that could redraw the map or drag the world into something much bigger. So everybody like and subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment in the comments section below. This live stream, by the way, let me just give you a little check-in here. This live stream has over 243,000 views right now. And I want to appreciate it. I appreciate everybody for joining me. So we did 2 hours for you. We'll go a little longer. Do I have something else in here? Oh, yeah. Let's see. Ground troops.
The Associated Press, a U.S. official confirming to the AP moments ago that 3 more warships and about 2,500 more Marines are headed to the Middle East. The U.S. right now saying it does have about 50,000 troops in the region. Again, we haven't heard too much from that U.S. official just yet, but confirming what you see on your screen, that they will deploy 3 more warships and about 2,500 more Marines to the region as Operation Epic Fury does continue.
So there, you got those other Marines heading out there. So again, I just wanted to pop that in there. I want to thank you all for coming out. I hope you've liked and subscribed. Make sure you leave a comment in the comment section. I appreciate you. Truth is a moving target. And I will see you on the next one. Thank you.